Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am Nick from Australia. Welcome to the Thursday night football review for round 12 of the NRL, the first game of the Indigenous round. We saw the Melbourne Storm absolutely pump the Broncos up there at Suncorp Stadium. 40 points to 12 tonight up there in Brisbane. Yeah, look, there isn't much to talk about here in this game, but let's get into it, man. So the game started off, first 20 seconds or so, a poor start from Brisbane. Albert Kelly knocking the ball on basically off the first run, and terrible start for the Broncos there. And then, the Broncos did well to hold on there for a while there. And then in the 13th minute, I've noticed in the first 13 minutes of the game, the Broncos had 3 set restarts in their favour. Melbourne's discipline early on was a little bit disappointing. I thought their discipline early on it just wasn't Melbourne-like. So the Broncos, they looked good early on, and they were getting a few things their way. Melbourne were a little bit ill-disciplined, so then not long after that, in the 18th minute, first try of the game goes to the Melbourne Storm hooker, Brandon Smith. Pretty soft try around the ruck. The Brisbane defence sort of just stood there. They weren't really sure what was going on. Melbourne started off with a 6-0 lead. Not long after that, actually, Brandon Smith goes off for a HIA after he scores a try, so basically 2 minutes later, he goes for a HIA, and then Tom Eisenhower goes for a HIA in the 30th minute. It's still 6-0 in favour of Melbourne. I'm thinking, if Brisbane can keep it at 6-0 at half-time, they're in the game. And, Brisbane's execution and stuff like that, last tackle options, it just wasn't going well for them. And then in the 32nd minute, a try to Kamehameha from the Melbourne Storm off the bench. Melbourne go to a 12-0 lead. It just sucks the life out of the Broncos, 12-0. It makes it very tough to come back from against a quality side like the Storm. And then in the 34th minute, Brandon Smith comes back on from the HIA. Kamehameha on Tom Eisenhower, he fails the HIA. He doesn't come back onto the field at all. And then in the 36th minute, Josh Adokar scores for the Storm right before half time. Conversion unsuccessful. 16-0 Storm, and then just when you think things can't get any worse for the Broncos, the sucker kicks off out in the fall, and at half time, Storm leads 16 points to 0, and you're probably thinking to yourself, can the Broncos even make it competitive? I was thinking the game was over at half time, 16-0, especially against Melbourne. We all know what they're like when they get out to a lead, and Brisbane, they were good against the Roosters last week, but I questioned all week, can they back up what they did against the Roosters against the Storm, and clearly they weren't able to do that. And then in the second half, it just went from bad to worse. George Jennings scored for the Storm. Storm 22-0 after 41 minutes. 44th minute, a try to Cooper Johns. Storm 28-0, and then the Broncos finally got a try in the 47th minute to Kobe Hetherington, has only played a couple of games. He scored a try for the Broncos, 28-6 in favour of the Melbourne Storm. And then 52nd minute, a try to Nicky Hines, who could be going to the Broncos next year from more reports. So at that stage, Melbourne led 34 points to 6. And then a try not long after that to Jesse Albers from the Brisbane Broncos. Broncos get the game to 34-12. Melbourne still in complete control of the game. And then after that, there was a try to Brandon Smith once again, collecting a double. And the Storm, they win the game 40 points to 12. Far too good for the Brisbane Broncos up there at Suncorp Stadium. The Broncos haven't beat the Storm up at Suncorp Stadium since 2009. That streak continues. Now, I just want to mention, before I get into some of the good players for tonight's game, I want to mention something about Anthony Milford. Now, Anthony Milford, we all know he's a confidence player, and we all know he's been disappointing this year and the last couple of years, but I question, does Anthony Milford want to play football? Now, look, I know he's not the reason for tonight's disappointment. He did have a couple of shockers, like missed tackles and, last tackle options and stuff like that. But when Milford was named during the week, I was saying to a couple of people, I said, if Milford's named to play, Melbourne will pump Brisbane by 40. And they pretty much did that. Well, they won by 28, but they still scored 40 points. And, does Anthony Milford want to play rugby league, or does he want to, what's he want to do? Because some of his efforts out there tonight, they just weren't first grade standard. I thought he was really poor. I know Albert Kelly was poor as well, but when you have one half's partner playing terrible and the other one not having his best night, it's going to look bad. So Anthony Milford, I can't see him being at the Broncos next year, and I don't even know why he was in the side tonight. I know there was injuries with the Broncos, but in suspensions and that. But Anthony Milford has to go, and to be honest, I don't want to see Milford back in first grade again this year until he figures out that does he want to play football or not, because at the moment it doesn't look like he wants to be playing football. But we'll get into some of the good players tonight from the Storm, and we'll start with Brandon Smith. Outstanding performance, scored 2 tries. He had a great game tonight. Nicho Hines, the Melbourne Storm fullback at the moment, with Pappenhausen being out injured. Nicho Hines was great tonight, scored a nice try, and like I said, he could be off to the Broncos next year. I thought Hines was great tonight. Cooper Johns, I thought he was great at 5'8". I thought he played really well. Haven't really been a big fan of Cooper Johns ever since he's played a couple of games in first grade, but he's really improving on his kicking game, and his defence has been solid, so I thought he was good tonight. Jerome Hughes, very controlled at a halfback. I thought he was very good. Jesse Bromwich was good in the middle. Kamikamefa off the bench was very good. Scored a nice try as well. Kamikamefa. And another player that I'm really impressed with off the bench, and whether he's starting or not, is Chris Lewis. Now, he was meant to play 5'8" tonight, but he was benched, and he came on and played a bit of back row for Eisenhoof, and I thought Chris Lewis was great tonight. I thought he played really well. And for the Broncos, I mean, there was only 2 players that really had to go for mine, and that was Thomas Flegler. I know his defence was a little bit poor, but I thought he tried really hard. And I thought Kobe Harrington from the Broncos, he scored a try. I thought he tried really hard tonight, Kobe Harrington. But, like I said before, Milford, does he want to play football? It was always going to be tough for the Broncos. That obviously last week they had a good win over the Roosters, but trying to back it up against the Storm back-to-back, it's very tough. So, not a good performance from the Broncos. The Storm, I thought the Storm were okay without being brilliant. They scored 40 points. They conceded 12. I don't think Melbourne were at their best, but, to say that they weren't at their best and they still won 40 points to 12 just tells you how good of a team they are, and their depth is unbelievable. But the Melbourne Storm, too good for the Broncos tonight. They get the win, 40 points to 12. My top 3 players on ground for tonight's game between Storm and Broncos, I'm going to go with number 3. I'm going to go with Chris Lewis. I thought he was great. Number 2, I'm going to go with Nicho Hines. And number 1, my man of the match, Brandon Smith. Scored 2 tries, went off for a HIA, came back on, and I thought he was dynamite. So Brandon Smith, it gets my man of the match for tonight's game. But guys, if you enjoyed the Thursday Night Football review, make sure you guys go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow night for the Friday Night Football review. Until then, guys, have a great Thursday night, have a great Friday, and I will see you guys in the next one.